Dear students, this is 12th zoology video class, chapter 10, part 3. Chapter 10, part 3, applications of biotechnology. Chapter 10, part 3. Last video class, we have seen stem cell therapy. This topic we have seen, and also we have seen what is stem cell banks we have seen. Then next topic we are going to see is the one molecular diagnosis. Molecular diagnosis. So this topic only we are going to see now. Take out your textbook. So what is diagnostic? We are going to find out molecular, what type of molecules are there. For what purpose are we going to diagnose? Unknown disease, if unknown pathogens entered our body, we wanted to know what type of pathogens are entered. All these things can be identified by molecular diagnosis. What type of pathogens, what type of treatment can be given. This is we call as a molecular diagnostics. An early diagnosis of infectious disease or inherited or inherent genetic defect is essential for appropriate treatment. So if we find the disease, what type of disease are we going to infect, or the child which developed during the embryo, the child which developed during month of from up to 9 to 10 months from mother's womb, that child, we can find out what type of genetic disease is going to affect. That can be found out by molecular diagnostics. Early detection of disease is not possible using conventional diagnostic methods like microscopic examinations, serum analysis, and urine analysis. So early detection. So if you want to identify what type of disease the child is going to infect, the child is going to get that disease, we cannot identify with a normal method, a normal diagnostic methods like microscopic examinations, serum, and urine analysis. These laboratory techniques, these laboratory techniques are indirect and not always specific. The scientists are continuously searching for specific sensitivity and simple diagnostics techniques for diagnosis of disease. So what do they say here? The normal method what we use to find out the diagnostic of disease is not much used. Even if it is used, means you cannot find out exactly what type of pathogens are infected or what type of disease going to come. So this is what they say. So that disease can be identified in this method, that is recombinant DNA technology, polymerase chain reaction, that is PCR, enzyme linked immunosorbent assay, ELISA, are some of the techniques that are reliable and help in early diagnosis presence of pathogens like virus, bacteria, etc. So with the help of these methods, where the disease or pathogen can be identified easily, whether it's a virus, whether it's a bacteria. These are the three types we are going to see now. is detected only when the pathogens produce symptoms in the patient. When it is going to be detected? When pathogens enter into human body or any animal body. If that pathogens are produce any symptoms in their health, the patient, then only we can identify what type of disease. By the time the symptoms appear, concentrations of pathogen become very high in the body. However, very low concentrations of a bacteria or virus, even when the symptoms of disease does not appear, can be detected by amplifications of their nucleic acids. Even the pathogens, when it is not produced symptoms, but it is there in our body. Such type of situations also we can identify what type of pathogens or that animals are infected. With help of these methods can identify. The first method, ELISA, enzyme link immunosorbent assay. ELISA is a biological procedure discovered by discovered by Eva Evals, underline Eva Evals, and Peter Perlman. Peter Perlman. Perlman. Eva Eval and Peter Perlman. The year of 1971 detected the presence of specific antibodies or antigens in a sample. What sample means? The serum sample and urine sample. It is very important diagnostic tools to determine if a person is HIV positive or negative. So with help of the serum and urine, uh, where we can identify the diagnostic of disease, whether that patient is having HIV or not. ELISA is a tool for determining serum antibody concentrations, such as antibody produced in a person's infected pathogen such as HIV. It's a virus which enter to the patient. And also for detecting the presence of specific antigens and hormones such as human chorionic gonadotropin, underline. These are hormones where they can produce antigens and as well as against of antigens where the antibody also can be produced. The next one here you can go through coating of the antigens adsorbed in onto the well in ELISA plate in coating buffer. Remove buffer and wash plate. Blocking. So buffer containing unrelated proteins is used to block free sites in the well. Remove buffer and wash plate and detections. Enzyme conjugated detections antibody binds antigens. And readout. Substrate is catalyzed by enzymes to generate color rate out. Color rate out. This is the one you can go through. During diagnosis, the sample suspected to contain the antigens is immobilized on the surface of an ELISA plate. The antibody specific to these antigens is added and allowed to react with immobilized antigens. So, if even if the antigen is not moving, the antibody which makes that antigens to move, that's what they say here. And the antibody is linked to an appropriate enzymes like peroxidase. The unreacted antibody is washed away. Unreacted antibody is washed away, and the substrates of enzyme This hydrogen peroxidase is added with the contains reagents with as 4 chloronaphthol. The activity of the enzymes yield a colored products indicating the presence of antigens. The intensity of the color is directly proportional to the amount of antigens. ELISA is highly sensitive and can detect antigens in the range of nanogram. Even if the antigen is not moving here and there, means with the help of productions of antibody, that antigen can be moved and just identify. That's what they just say in the experiments, the colored one. There are 4 kinds of ELISA, namely, just take a textbook and just underline important 2 marks. What type of 4 kinds of ELISA? Namely, direct ELISA, indirect ELISA, sandwich ELISA, and competitive ELISA. It is a highly sensitive and specific method used for diagnosis. Just mark it this for 4 methods. 3 marks or 2 marks can be possible to ask. ELISA possesses the added advantage of not requiring radioisotopes. So they need not to identify with help of using radioisotopes or radiations counting apparatus. The next one is PCR. PCR chain reactions. What is PCR? Polymerase chain reactions. Polymerase chain reactions. So there is another method to identify or diagnose the disease, polymerase chain reaction. Polymerase chain reaction is an in vitro amplification techniques used for synthesizing multiple identical copies of DNA of interest. Here, it's an in vitro amplification done in the laboratory where we can multiply the pathogens of DNA. By multiplying the pathogens of DNA, where you can find out easily. So the multiplying that pathogens of DNA can be used the methods we call the PCR techniques. That's what they say. Yeah, this amplifications. So amplifications techniques used for synthesizing multiple identical copies of DNA. The techniques was developed by Kary Mullis. Just underline. Take a textbook. Underline. Kary Mullis. He got Nobel Prize in the year of 1983. And there are 3 methods are used in polymerase chain reactions. What are 3 methods? Denaturations or renaturations, primer annealing, synthesis of primer, synthesis or primer extensions. So these are the 3 methods. Underline: denaturations, annealing, and extension. These are the 3 methods are used in PCR. The 3 steps involved in PCR. Just underline the three steps. So if you see the double stranded DNA of interest is denatured by separate into 2 individual strands by high temperature. High temperature. This is we call as a denaturations. What do we need denaturations? Separating the DNA. You see the DNA, you might have been studied the nucleic acids. The DNA, they contain 3 forms: phosphate, then DNA, a pentose sugar, and nitrogen base. Here, the hydrogen bonds which presents in the nitrogen space which contact adenine, thymine, double bond. So that bond is going to break. That bond need to be break. Then only we can separate. So that DNA need to be temperature, need to be boiled in a high temperature, need to be fixed in the high temperature. then only where they can the bond can separate. So here denaturation means the double bond strand of interest is denatured to separate two individual strands by high temperature. With help of high temperature, where the bonds can be broken down. That steps taken in the denaturation. Each strand is allowed to hybrid with the primer. That's the renaturations or primer annealing. The primer template is used to synthesize DNA by using TAC, DNA polymerase. TAC means what? Thermus aqueous. With help of thermus aqueous, where they can allow to have more temperature. What is it? During denaturation, the reactions mixture is heated. The reaction mixture is heated. The pathogens taken out and just kept in the PCR equipments. During that's what happens during denaturation means the reaction mixture is heated. The pathogens heated about 95 degrees Celsius for short time. For short time, maybe 1 minute or 3 minutes for short time to denature the target DNA into single strands that will act as a template for DNA synthesis. So what are you going to do? We have to take out that infected pathogens. I'll show you this picture. Here, this is what. Consider this is the one, the pathogens of DNA. The 5-2, 3-, and 3-2, 5-. In between, the green color which is connected. That green color only we call as a hydrogen bonds. That green color hydrogen bond is going to be break by heating of in 95 degree Celsius with a thermus aqueous of using polymerase DNA polymerase enzymes. Thermus aqueous TAC means thermus aqueous. Once if you heat in temperature of 95 degree Celsius for 1 hour 3 minutes, what happens? This point is going to be break down. So this DNA automatically is going to separate. The double bond is going to become as a single bond. That is we call as a denaturation. The next one is the one annealing. Second, here the denaturation is done. So that hydrogen bond just broken down and just they separated. Yes, the next step is the one annealing. Here this annealing is done by rapid cooling of mixture. It has to be cooled, allowing primer to bind sequence on the surface on each of two strands flanking the target of DNA. Flanking the target of DNA. So that here the color, orange color, which just attached here to produce the DNA copies of opposite side. That takes place in the annealing one. That takes place in the annealing one. During primer extensions or synthesis of temperature, mixture is increased 75 degrees Celsius for sufficient period to time to allow the TAC DNA polymers to extend the primer by copying the single strands of template. Here, the DNA, we are going to just attach one small fragment of primer where they can bring out that whole part of whole component of the DNA. That is the extension will take place. The 3-, 5- to 3-. Here 3- they end, so they have one primer, and here the 5- they have one primer. That is going to be extend. That is going to be lengthened one of copy of single strand the templates DNA. Here only a little bit order. This little bit DNA where they can extend up to 5 prime. Here from 3 prime to 5 prime they'll extend. The 3 prime only a little bit of DNA just kept. This little bit of DNA where they can extend up to 5 by copying of the another part of DNA. The next one is an extensions. Then extensions as done. Extension as done. As the end of the incubations, both single template stands will be made partially double strand. End of the extensions. The single strands become as a double strand one. The new strands of each double stranded DNA extends to the variable distance downstream. These steps are repeated again and again to generate multiple forms of desired DNA. This process is also called as a DNA amplification. Here again just I'll tell you, if they take on the pathogens of DNA, even if it is small, that DNA can be heated by 90 degrees Celsius by thermos aqueous enzymes. Once if you heat that means what happens, the denaturation takes place. That single double strand become as a single strand. That single strands, with help of single strands, the small fragments of the DNA is going to extend. That is we call as annealing. Annealing means that small fragments is going to join in that one. It's going to join. An extension means the small fragments where they can extend fully. So this is the methods of PCR, polymerase chain reactions. And here the PCR techniques also used for the amplifications of RNA, in which case is referred as reverse transcriptions PCR. In this process, the RNA molecules, that's mRNA, must be converted complementary DNA by enzymes reverse transcriptase. The cDNA then serve as a template for PCR. So this is the methods of PCR techniques. Artificially, the infector pathogens of DNA can be manufactured with help of PCR techniques. Just go through this PCR techniques, important one. If you have any doubt, you can contact me. Okay, bye. Take care.